welcome back to my channel. My name is Gretchen, and today we're filming from the living room because I'm going to be filming a bit of a interior design goals house tour. It won't be a complete tour, just a little bit of tour of the apartment over where I'm planning on making some upgrades and swaps and change things up in 2021. For context, I moved into my apartment in April of 2020, and when I moved in, I had a whole list of things that I wanted to do to decorate the place and swap out things that I own for items that might just fit the space a little bit better or make the space even more usable. It is a 950 square foot apartment, and so really utilizing the space well will really make a small apartment feel a lot bigger and more usable. I did a few things back in 2020, like I got my couch, but a lot of the things that I had planned just didn't really happen. So one of my big goals for 2021 is to finally finish doing some of the decorating that I want to do, and also since we renewed the lease here, take some of the learnings I've had from places and parts of the apartment that could use better organization or some swaps and things just to make it more usable, and do those things so that we can really maximize our space and enjoy being in this apartment. Let's get started. Okay, had me on the mobile tripod today. So, the first thing I guess I'll talk about is the living room because we're already in here. It is the space behind me. The living room is the space that you walk into. You can see me in a mirror there. When you first enter the apartment, one of the first things that I did after moving in was to create this little entry space, which really helps make the entry a little bit easier, and put in this chair so you have a place to set things down temporarily if you need to, or sit down and put your shoes on, and then that's my little office space over there. We swapped out the couch for the one that I really wanted. This is the Article couch. It's leather and I absolutely adore it. And when I first moved in, I had things arranged a little bit differently. I've always kind of intended to get a rug, but the flooring is really nice, so it hasn't been a high priority. Since January, we finally rearranged to kind of open up the space. So we used to have a chair on each side of the coffee table, and we moved one out and then moved one into the corner just to really open the space up. And we also took the long mirror that was in my bedroom and we moved it into the hallway so that one, it just kind of like adds a little bit more dimension into the apartment, but it also makes it a little bit easier for me to stand further back from it and look at my outfits. There's room to do that in my bedroom, but just not enough. And then we also put a chair in the room for extra seating, and that kind of eliminated as well of a good space for the mirror, so it's here now. The thing that we've never done outside of never get a rug in here is we always intended to put some art up, and it just hasn't happened. So that is one of the big things for the living room. Now that we have it rearranged a little bit more open, kind of getting a rug and some art to really pull the whole thing together. And I'm also looking into potentially getting some really cool modern cat furniture for my cat Wilma, so that she has something that she can sit on in front of the window that she can also scratch, so that she has another option besides her regular scratching post, since that is something she really likes to do. The dining room really hasn't changed much. When I first moved in order to save space in the kitchen, we put all of the dishes and stuff in my row of cookbooks. I love my cookbook collection. We put all this stuff in the dining room on this old bookshelf that I used as a room divider in my old bedroom. I always intended to swap it out with something with doors that slide so that it feels a little bit more secure, and just with a little bit of a different look to it. I don't really hate the way this looks, which is why it's probably ended up being the standstill that just kind of stayed for so long. But it would just be really nice to have something that keeps all of this glassware a little safer while still displaying it, and kind of fits the rest of what we have decor-wise a little bit better than the Billy bookshelf. The biggest project I want to take on, and the first project, because it's the one with the most practical need, is the kitchen. So this is the way that the kitchen looks now, and it's a little crowded because we have a fair amount of cookware because I do a lot of cooking, and we have a lot of space where we need ingredients because I do a lot of cooking and baking. So our cupboards are pretty stuffed to the max, and there just isn't a ton of usable counter space. One of the problems with that too is that this area is actually fairly short, so there's only so many things that can fit under here, and this is the only really usable outlet in the kitchen. There's one behind the refrigerator that I managed to get to in order to plug in our Nespresso maker, but pretty much if you need to plug anything in, it has to be over here, which can be a little limiting. We also have places where the paint is already chipping off from being clean. This is the cabinet right under the sink, so it gets a lot of fingerprints on it from being opened so often because that's where I stash the garbage can. And as you can see, the paint has not worn up to being wiped down so often from the fingerprints. So that is something that I would like to change. We want to put in a different rug situation. So when I first moved in, I got this colorful rug to go next to the sink, and I also have a black and white buffalo check one that I've used in the fall winter. But I've always wanted a runner rug and just hadn't lived somewhere before where the kitchen was designed well for it. And in my old house, there's also just so many people living in it that a runner rug would have gotten like destroyed from all the people tracking stuff in. So I always really wanted one, but the other reason, I'm not sure if you can see it as well on video, but the wax on the floor isn't super consistent, the covering that they put on it to make it shiny. So you can kind of see it's shiny here, not shiny over here. And since I'm one of those kind of really obsessive people, the fact that the floor isn't consistently shiny really bothers me. So I want to put a runner rug in there, one because I think it's going to make it look really nice, but also it will help cover that. We also want to put in better storage over here next to the stove. So this area is a little tricky. We have our grocery bags and our recycling and our back door over here. And I put this little cart in when we first moved in, and it's been helpful, but it's just not quite enough storage. So we want to replace this with something that is a little taller, just to have a little bit more increased storage, and maybe be able to move some of the things that we have over here currently off and help clear up some more space and just make the space a bit more optimal. Along the lines of making things a bit more optimal, I would like to kind of swap some things out. So one of the things I did earlier this month was actually go through a bunch of the cookware and bakeware and random things that I have and really sort out what I just haven't used in a long time and create a pile for donations to help clear some stuff out, because this was really overstuffed. This section down here was flipped the other way around because we couldn't fit space-wise the pans out like this. So when you were putting the pans in and out, sometimes they would slide and all come tumbling down. And I used to have a few more baking things just stacked in here that would also sometimes just come tumbling down, which is a bit annoying. So I cleared out space when I was doing the clear out in other areas to be able to better store some of my specialized bakeware. And that has really helped clear up this space, but I think we can make it even better. One of the things I'm looking into is trying to swap out some of my cookware for a set that is smaller and just a little nicer looking in the cupboard without as many components, and just a little easier to store. And I think especially with it just being two of us, that we really don't need necessarily as much cookware as I've had in the past. We don't use every piece every single time we cook. So we can get away with a more multifunctional set, and that's something I'm looking into doing just to help save space, tidy it up a bit, and make it really usable. I also want to increase some of the storage and do things a little bit better. So I've been picking up little things like this, which is a little crate. They fold down really easy, but you can get a good view of what it kind of looks like there, in order to kind of create better storage space for ingredients up in our cupboard, as well as create better storage in the refrigerator, which is really overstuffed right now because we're doing Whole30 and we just have so many vegetables all stashed in here. When it comes to the actual design and kind of aesthetic of the kitchen, we're leaning towards doing something that's a bit more bright and a little bit more boho, just because Portland can get really kind of gray. I mean, this is a non-super gray day and it's still not super light. Where we're kind of thinking design-wise for the kitchen, like through the aesthetic, I've toyed around with trying to be a little bit more bright and desert boho, or just kind of colorful boho, and we are leaning to do a little bit more of a colorful boho feel in the kitchen with the rugs and the colors and the things that we're going to try to be pulling in order to really brighten up the space and make it really fun. Portland can be really dreary for large parts of the year, particularly in the winter. It rains a lot, and even on days when it's not rainy, we're often pretty overcast, so it can just be a little dark, and I think it's going to be really cheerful in the morning to get up and have this like cozy, bright kitchen to come into and make breakfast and have coffee and things like that. Since this was originally a little bit more deserty in the aesthetic that I'd kind of been thinking about for this room, I have a blog post I did back when I first started toying around with interior for the living room that I will post below if you want to see the inspiration. I'm thinking about ways to kind of pull in a little bit more of that other boho feel in order to kind of make it a little bit more cohesive with what we want to do with the kitchen. And likewise, I kind of want to do that with the bedroom. I do like having this super light colors for the bedding at the moment. We have darker colors that we've been using through winter, and we swapped to these really kind of bright colors in the spring. Here's my kitty cat. Also ignore all of the piles of laundry that we have. But I do have this really cool, fun print from Japan that I finally got framed up and put in this room. I've had this print since I was like 14 and just very carefully had it around. I finally got around to actually putting it in a frame like I intended so long ago, and it is up. So I feel like the colors with that, and I also have my boomerangs from Australia and other themes from traveling. It would be really fun to kind of bring a little bit of that boho into here as well, and just kind of make the theme a little bit more cohesive as we go. That's really most of what I'm hoping to get done, and I'm aiming to do it more at the beginning of the year. I've already started on doing some swaps for the kitchen, just kind of pulling some inspiration, already put some items on hold that have been back ordered that we would like to use for some of our swaps and things like that. So I'll have a new kitchen reveal first, and then we'll move on to the rest of the apartment. But I'm really hoping that before summer we can really pull the whole thing together so we can maximize the amount of time that we can enjoy it all finished and decorated while we live here. Yeah, so that's the plan. As I go, I'll be doing little updates, and I'll also have corresponding blog posts with decor inspiration and things like that. So if you'd like to know more about that and see the process in real time, you can check out my blog, which I'll link down below. And you can also follow me on Instagram at Gretchen Holzgang, because I will be doing real-time updates as we do things there as well. If you like this video and you want to follow along and be sure to see what it all looks like when it's done, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because I will be doing updates, and let me know you liked it with a little thumbs up. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye! For anyone curious, this is my lazy at-home Friday look. Just incredibly messy hair, not a whole lot of makeup, crop top, super comfy jeans.